In the limestone valleys of southern Europe, buried under layers of sediment and the weight of Ice Age glaciers, lie the remains of a people who were once our closest kin. For over 150 years, the Neanderthals have been cast in the shadow of our own story. We portrayed them as brutish hunters, as evolutionary failures, or as tragic relics of a world that didn't want them. But silence does not mean absence. For decades, their bones sat in museums, holding secrets that traditional archaeology simply couldn't unlock. But now, ancient DNA has begun to speak, and what it is revealing is more than just a discovery. It's a total reimagining of human history. The dumb caveman is dead. In his place stands a traveler, an innovator, and a survivor. Where did they truly come from? Why does their DNA point to the Far East when we thought they were European? Today, we are tracing the Braided River of the Neanderthal lineage to find the missing chapters of our own story. The origin of Neanderthals has always been a puzzle with missing pieces. Their remains are scattered across a vast geography, from the damp caves of Gibraltar to the freezing plains of Siberia. Some fossils date back 400,000 years, while others are as recent as 40,000. For a long time, the consensus was simple. Neanderthals evolved in Europe, isolated by ice, while we, Homo sapiens, evolved in Africa. But the genetic signature, the blueprint found in their cells, hints at a journey far older and more complex than a simple map can show. A groundbreaking study led by an international team of geneticists has recently changed the game. By analyzing DNA from fossils in the famous Vindija cave in Croatia and the remote Altai Mountains of Siberia, they've connected the dots between climate shifts and ancient migrations. They found that Neanderthals were no isolated offshoot. Around 600,000 years ago, they split from a common ancestor we shared with them, likely Homo heidelbergensis. But the exact point of that split, the birthplace of the North, has remained silent until now.
To find the truth, the team examined both nuclear and mitochondrial DNA. The latter, passed down through mothers, acts as a time capsule. Because these bones were preserved in permafrost-like conditions, the genetic fragments were remarkably intact. When they compared these sequences to hundreds of modern and ancient genomes, they found something remarkable. The earliest Neanderthals carried traces of an even older lineage. This wasn't a European signature. It appeared to come from the East, Central or East Asia, long before the Neanderthals established their stronghold in Europe. One of the most striking finds came from the Altai Neanderthal, a female who lived over 120,000 years ago. Her DNA showed signs of interbreeding with another mysterious group, the Denisovans. This reveals that the Neanderthal story wasn't a straight line from birth to extinction. It was a braided river, a constant process of contact, exchange, and migration across thousands of miles. They weren't just staying put in Europe, they were masters of the Eurasian continent. The genetic evidence also shows that not all Neanderthals were the same. Early Western Neanderthals, like those from Spain's Cima de los Huesos, the Pit of Bones, dated to over 430,000 years ago, had different genetic profiles from their eastern cousins. This means multiple waves of Neanderthals moved into Europe at different times. They weren't one single group, but a series of migrations, replacing each other, mixing with each other, and sometimes coexisting in the same valleys for millennia. But what drove them? The answer is the Earth itself. Ice Age Europe was a land of brutal extremes. Glacial cycles acted like a giant pump. When the ice expanded, it pushed populations south into refugia, small pockets of warmth like the Mediterranean coast. When the ice melted during warmer interglacials, these populations surged north and east again.
These movements didn't just move bodies, they moved genes. These climate pulses connected Neanderthals with distant populations, including the ancestors of modern humans, far earlier than we ever dared to imagine. One of the most important clues in this origin story comes from the Mesmaiska cave in the Caucasus Mountains, the rugged corridor between Europe and Asia. Here, archaeologists found the remains of a Neanderthal child. Her bones, 40,000 years old, still carried the echoes of her short life. Her DNA was different. She carried genetic links to the Altai populations thousands of miles to the east. This confirmed that the Caucasus wasn't a wall, it was a bridge. It was the highway that allowed genes to flow from the heart of Asia into the heart of Europe. And the surprises didn't stop there. Geneticists found a small but significant amount of DNA from an even more ancient hominin, possibly Homo erectus. This suggests that before they were even Neanderthals, their ancestors were already mixing with the ghosts of the ancient world in Asia. The true birthplace of the Neanderthals wasn't a single spot on a map. It was a vast, interconnected range spanning the entire Old World.
So why does this matter today? Because the story of the Neanderthals is, ultimately, the story of us. Every non-African person alive today carries about 1 to 2% Neanderthal DNA. This isn't just a souvenir from the past. This inheritance influences how your immune system fights off viruses. It influences how your skin responds to sunlight and how your body processes fat. We didn't just replace the Neanderthals, we absorbed them. By the time they disappeared as a distinct species 40,000 years ago, they had become small and isolated. Inbreeding made them vulnerable. Meanwhile, modern humans arrived with larger social networks and more flexible tools. But the genetic record is clear. Neanderthals didn't lose. They left a legacy woven into our very biology. As ancient DNA technology advances, we are searching for them in unexpected places, in the dirt of caves where no bones remain, in the microscopic blood residue on stone tools, and in the dental tartar of fossilized teeth. The real origin of the Neanderthals is a story of epic journeys, of survival against impossible odds, and of a deep connection to the Earth's cycles. They walked through landscapes that would break most of us. They hunted in cold so deep it could kill in minutes. And through it all, they adapted. When we trace their story, we aren't just uncovering the past. We are finding the missing chapters of our own. Because in every strand of our DNA, there are echoes of their struggles, their triumphs, and their endurance. They are not gone. They are part of us.